Okay, so this is the April Region Captain, District Captain monthly call, update, chat, and so forth. And I want to thank you guys for being on. We were, as we were talking about for a minute there, the new District Captain Mission Excellence Plan. We added a couple of items that are highlighted there, and I'll just chat about that for a minute. The first one up there under General and Training has to do with logging and activity in the COS Action mobile app. And one of the things that National is trying to encourage us to do is to use the mobile app from our phones, and so that you've got it right there. If you make a call to a legislator or something, you got the phone in your hand, you can open that app and just log that call right there when you do the activity. Their thinking is that maybe it'll be more convenient if you have it kind of right there right now to make the entry on your phone, and you don't have to try to remember later on to enter it in a different way. And the next item, a little further down the sheet, is logging into the district dashboard to check for new volunteers. And one of the things that that basically what National does, when they look to see if a district captain is active or not, they have no way of knowing what you and I are doing from a day-to-day basis, other than they can go into the district dashboard and look and see that we have logged in to district dashboard in the last 30 days. Doesn't mean we've actually done something, but we have logged into it. And so their thinking is they want to encourage everybody to log into that. We want to say log into that and check and see if you have any new volunteers in your district. If you do, call them, try to make a connection with them, or at least if you can't call them, send them an email. And that way, National can look at the state of Indiana and say, oh, all of our district captains were active because they all logged into district dashboard this month.
Why is that 4 points max?
I'm sorry, what?
You got 4 maximum on there. I'm wondering why.
I have what on there?
4 points maximum.
Oh, yeah. So in other words, in any 1 month, in essence, I'm saying if you log in more than once a week, you'll still just get 4 points for the month. You might log into it, every day or every other day. I'm usually in it pretty much every day, but the thinking is that for 1 month you can get 4 points. You can't get 30 points in a month for logging in every day. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, okay. I thought of you it was logging in and trying to volunteers. So as far as that, you only have to log in, but you're wanting us to not only log in but also check on follow-up for volunteers.
Yes.
Right.
So any new volunteers or even new signers can be worthwhile to look through the new people that have signed in your district, see if there's anybody that you know, see where they came from, if they came from Facebook or where they've come from. And if you don't have any new people that have said they'll volunteer, it can be worthwhile to just bring up a call to people who've signed the petition and chat with them and see why did they sign, what's their hot button issue. I think you'll find, as I have found, many people, term limits is a hot button issue for them. And maybe by connecting with them, you might find somebody that really does want to be a little more active, and you might find you might be able to recruit somebody to be at least a volunteer for a gun show or a fair booth, even if they're not willing to become a district captain.
Okay.
So, any questions or comments about the District Captain Mission Excellence Plan? Thomas and I have had some discussion back and forth about this. I'm interested in knowing if there's any input from anybody else. Understand that this is something we just, I created it back in January, and it's brand new. So, we can still make changes to it, and we may, do something a lot different next year. I don't know, but we wanted to try that for this year. And, so if you have thoughts, we could talk about them now, or if you want to wait till we have our statewide meeting and talk about them then, that would be okay too.
I'll just throw out one thought on handwritten letter / note assigned or targeted legislators down there in the second building, legislative relationships.
Right.
I know we want handwritten. I would say we want handwritten notes. If I'm a legislator, I don't want to get a handwritten letter that's 2 pages long from somebody that I can't read their handwriting. So if I'm going to write it's my feeling, if I'm going to write something of substance, it's going to be an email because my handwriting is not all that readable, quite frankly. And
Sure.
If I want to send a note, a thank you note, or a short 2 or 3 sentences, then yes, I'll put it on a nice COS note card, and I'll use a broad tip pen and do a little, I'll take my time and maybe print it even. But
Sure.
I just don't think I'm going to ever sit down and handwrite a substantial letter to a legislator.
Yeah. I think the thing that we really want to encourage here is that you do a paper letter as opposed to an email. Emails just routinely get ignored. If you type out a letter and hand sign it, that's kind of the same thing. The idea is that you took the time to write it out, address an envelope, put it in the mail. And they have found that state legislators, one guy pulled out a handful of these that he'd gotten out of his pocket. He was carrying them around with him. And it makes a huge impression on a legislator to get something in the mail as opposed to just an email.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not disagreeing with you. And I guess I have sent some letters via the post that were done on I did them on what am I trying to think of?
Paper and pencil type letters, you mean?
They weren't. They were done on the computer, but
yeah,
I signed them and put a stamp on the envelope and so forth.
Sure.
But I have also done a lot of emails where I've used the COS letterhead on the email.
Yeah.
Figuring that would maybe get them to read it.
Yeah, that's good. And one of the things about this, when you read through these descriptions of these things on this Mission Excellence Plan, don't read them too tightly. I'm asking people, you're self-reporting that you hand wrote a letter. If you typed it out and mailed it, that's good. It doesn't have to have been all handwritten in order to qualify.
Okay, that's
that
good.
Makes sense.
Sure.
And that's true for everything on here. Attended a monthly training or a national training webinar, something like that. That's not necessarily have to have been, something that was an hour long and you were there from beginning to end. If you were in on it and, participated in that way, you can mark that down. Nobody's going to audit this to see whether you, were really there for all 60 minutes of a national webinar.
Might I also suggest that you add up there in general and training the COS Indiana Live broadcast?
Okay. So
a point maybe.
Yeah.
I've started tuning into that. I find it interesting, and I think Dale has indicated the viewership is increasing too. Yeah,
as a matter of fact, Dale has said that the viewership is up quite a bit. One of the things I go through and call, look in the district dashboard, and I have access to the whole state, and I'm calling new volunteers all the time, and I always look through and see if they've been opening emails from COS. And one of the things I've noticed is that one of the things that's very frequently opened is the email about the COS Live broadcast. And I wonder if maybe it's because it has the word Indiana in it. And when people get that email, they figure, hey, this is somebody in Indiana. I'm going to open the email. And so, yeah, that's a good idea, Larry. I'll take a look at that. I think we can squeeze in another item up there. If we don't do it now, we can keep that one in mind for next year. But yeah, I think I can plug that in. I'm trying to keep it so that it can be printed out on one sheet.
You don't need to send mine. I just updated it. I just put that in. It was 1 point.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate the input on that, because this whole thing is a work in progress, and the idea is to figure out what we want to encourage people to be active, and for different people different things fit. And so yeah, that's great. Other comments, thoughts about this sheet? That anybody has?
Well, looks pretty good to me.
Okay.
Oh, and thanks for including January, February, and March on mine. I didn't have the data.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm trying to, I keep a spreadsheet for each of you on my computer, and so as I get the information, I try to update all the columns so that we have, your record for how many you've gotten for the quarter and for the year, so you can kind of see how you're tracking along. And this has proven to be a fair amount of work to try to keep it current, but I'm trying to figure out systems to streamline it so that it isn't extremely time-consuming to accomplish, and yet gives you guys the information that hopefully is of help, benefit to you. What else is on your mind? You guys, have you been talking to people lately, and what are people you talk to saying?
I haven't had any conversations with anybody but Chad and Michael. We had a real good, long conversation, and I think I sent you some information that, well, I put it on the training sheet there, updated him through everything that he felt he had completed that wasn't on there. There were 3 or 4 or 5. He had done quite a few COS university courses, was going to do, intended to do 2 or 3 more yet this week. I don't know if he's on, right? But he's going after it.
Okay, great. Now,
who was that, Larry?
Chad Michael, there in Kokomo. I think he's in maybe 35 or 39. I'm not sure. No.
There's a Kokomo, Indiana?
Yes. I think he's in, well, I'm looking at the list.
I think he's in 30, isn't he?
It might be 30, yeah. Michael Karakoff is the legislator there. I think it is 30, you're right. I believe so.
Larry, do you have the district captain training tracking spreadsheet?
That's what I updated, I think, when I was talking to him. Yeah.
Okay, good.
That kind of the blue and pink.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. I'm colorblind. It's got some colors on it. I don't know what.
Yeah, if you look at it, I assume it took. If it didn't, I apologize. I just assumed it was taking. If I put numbers in, I basically done.
Okay, I'll take a look at that
in several places.
I will take a look at that later. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that you had access to that, because that is that's where we want to keep that up to date.
I think I got it off Slack, I believe.
We have found recently there's something else I want to kind of cover with you, and that is that Chris Miller has had a job change, and he's been extremely busy, and so there's kind of been a holdup in accomplishing session 2, module 2 of the training, and we are looking at another person who may take that over. I've had a conversation with one of the guys, and it's just kind of a matter of Dale and Paul and I have a call tomorrow night. We'll talk about it. Assuming I get the green light from them, we will go ahead, and hopefully we've got about 4 people, I think, that are waiting for Module 2, and I think that I've got about 4 more people that I actually spoke to today, 3 of whom indicated they will apply to be district captain. We'll see if that, if they come through on that, but if they do, hopefully we can get the training going and keep it going. Tell me if you are finding that spreadsheet, Larry. Does that helpful to you to keep track of how Chad is doing on his training?
Yes. Jimmy Colvin is on it as well up in Anderson, and although he hasn't gotten back to me, we spoke earlier, I think it's yet this week or maybe last week, and he's doing some COS courses.
Okay.
He'll be ready for this FCC too.
Okay, super. That's what I want to hear, that hopefully the trainees, even if we can't be doing the modules with them, they can initiate activity themselves by doing the COS University. As part of the thinking of the changes we made in that was that they don't have to wait for us. They can just plow forward.
Yeah, it's helpful.
Good, good. Thomas, are you on that spreadsheet and have access to track people?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
In
good.
fact, Mary Beth has been having trouble getting the first unit of COS 300 done.
Okay.
It just tells her that she's not. What's the word for it that she used? Well, she couldn't open it. I believe
Okay.
she's actually using the form that was developed and going into it. Because when I used that form to get into the COS University, into that particular unit, it wouldn't let me in. And I've done them all.
Okay.
So there must be a link bad in that one document that Paul made up.
Okay.
But she has actually done 4.
Okay, super. If you run into technical problems like that, the best thing to do is get onto Slack and go to one of your SIAs, Jerry Rowe or Tim Heidenreich. Usually those guys can get on it and figure out what the problem is.
Yeah. Well, I told her how to get into it.
Okay.
I told her to get into it the way I get into it. Go
Okay.
directly to COS University.
Okay. Yeah, I have it. That does weird things as far as I've kind of noticed that experience too. That it doesn't always. Sometimes it is tricky to get into the classes. So.
Hey, I got a quick question.
Okay.
That new guide that Paul did, do you know where he posted that in Slack? I've seen it on my phone, on my desktop. I'm not.
The new what in Slack?
Didn't he repost the new guideline that melded the training guide with the tracking?
I think he did, and I'm not sure where that might be. I'm
Right.
guessing it might be under general or maybe meeting recordings or COS Indiana leaders list. One of those kind of places. I'm not sure. If you need it, let me know and I'll see if I can find it. Anybody else having that problem? Not sure where that is, because I think it's all on that spreadsheet in Google Sheets now. How about Vicki? How's everything going for you?
Pretty good. I do have a question for you.
Okay.
I was on that national call. They were pretty concerned about our governor and keeping us locked up. But do you get any points for that? Because I haven't seen that on the sheet for the national call.
Yeah, I think one of the
third one down.
Yeah, if you attend a national DC or volunteer webinar, any of those that you attend, you put points down for that. And that might be, Garrett Humberson does a weekly call. There's the weekly DC training call. I think the one with Jenny Rapini. Any of those, you can put put points down for those.
Okay.
Yeah, any of those things, if you have time to do them, they're usually good and they're beneficial to tune in and you learn more and hear about ideas from other states. And so, yeah, I encourage you to tune into all of those you can.
Okay.
Anything else that you guys have got that you want to chat about tonight? I apologize. I think I had originally planned to do this on the same night every month, and honestly, being the social isolation thing doesn't do me any good. I'm an introvert, and it's hard on me, so I can imagine how people that really are accustomed to talking to people all the time, how it maybe affect them. But I'll try to get a notice out earlier and get your sheets out so that you can take a look at them and see if we've got all your first 4 months of information correct. And if you want to go back and add some things from prior months, feel free to do that and just send it to me. If you've tuned in on some calls and didn't record them at the time or something, that's fine too.
I picked up. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Larry.
I was attending one of those national Jeannie Rapini and Jason Gerard webinars, and I don't remember who they were talking with, somebody in another state, but they were talking about this was for district captains, and they were urging the district captains use the follow-up tool, and I didn't think I was allowed to use the follow-up tool for some reason. I thought that was not for a district captain. What's the right word on that?
George, why don't you talk about that?
I've never heard of any restrictions. The way it normally goes, I used to think that nothing went into the system until it went through the follow-up tool. If we get a new signer comes in, they go to the follow-up tool. And I'd send them a thank you email, and I would complete the follow-up tool, and then they'd be sent to the appropriate district dashboard. While working with Thomas, Mr. Schultz there, I found out that a new signer comes in to the follow-up tool and to their dashboard. Even in the dashboard, it should give their status as far as if they're through the follow-up tool or not yet. FUT completed as part of their status or something.
Yeah, I think
I don't have any problem with you going into the follow-up tool if you want to search for people. Just try not to delete them. And if you want to send them a thank you for signing up from the follow-up tool, that's fine too.
Okay.
If you want to, I can give you the way I do it, so it stays consistent. But there's one template that I use, and the subject line is Convention of States with Convention of States -- thank you. And I check that their name is okay. It's not like all caps or something like that. Or a lot of times you get their first name and their middle initial is in the same cell. So when the template comes up, it says their name is George M. instead of just George. So I got to go and edit their profile and move the middle initial over into the middle initial slot and stuff like that. Just simple modifications like that as I go through it. But it's just something to be watchful for.
I'll check with you. I'll check with you on the phone or something.
Okay.
I'm kind of zeroed in on volunteers right now. So,
okay.
That just came up in one of the webinars. I don't know, maybe it's a couple of weeks ago, and I just kind of struck me because I have never used the follow-up tool.
Yeah. Well, if they go into your dashboard, you can just work through your dashboard.
Yeah, I just go onto my dashboard and I put it in reverse and find out who the newest entrant is, the newest signer, and that's who I call.
Yeah. And make sure you put a note on that so it'll have you as the last person contacted.
Yeah, I try to always put a note on, and it's either a phone call or an email or both.
Yeah, that's good. Larry, actually, I think a few years ago, when they originally, I'm not 100% certain, but it's my understanding when they originally did this, that they assumed the district captains would be following up with people in their district. Well, because there were many districts that didn't have a district captain, and maybe they didn't have a region captain who could follow up, and so there were hundreds of people in the follow-up tool that were not being followed up.
Sure.
So we kind of decided to centralize that and have George do that. But if you want to take that over for your region, your district, your region, whatever, that's fine. When George goes in, he can look at it and see that they've already been followed up. Why, that just takes it off of his plate. But and actually, I would encourage all of you, if you have time, anybody that you see that's new, go in and if they're a volunteer, call them up, shoot them an email. What I typically do, and like in Region 7, we don't have any district captains down there, so I go into district dashboard. I just focus on Region 7. And like Larry mentioned, I look at the newest ones, and I start calling people that are volunteers, and I leave them a voicemail if they don't answer, which, most people don't. They see a strange phone number. And I tell them, who I am. I see they indicated they want to volunteer, and, tell them I'd like to chat with them. And I say, and I'm going to send you an email with my contact information. And then I just send them that short email, and it has my contact information. Sometimes they'll call me back, or if not, that's okay. Another thing I want to kick out to you, and that is an experience. National has done some emailing, encouraging people to, go into COS website and take some kind of action. And a number of those people, instead of doing that, have responded to the email and said, hey, I'm interested in, being more active, something like that. A couple of those came to me maybe 2.5 weeks ago. And I called those people and left a voicemail like I always do, heard nothing from them. Today, it's like 10 days later or 2 weeks later, I called them again, and 2 out of the 2 that I called both took the call, number one, and they both said that they were interested in being district captains. And so one of the things that never discount the importance of making multiple tries to contact people.
Oh.
You don't want to be a pest and leave a message, every day for a month, but if you follow up with somebody and you leave a voicemail, if a week or 2 later you haven't heard from them, I wouldn't hesitate to make a second call and leave a message again. because oftentimes people, if they see, oh, I see that number, that I think that person called me before, they'll take a call a second time, or I don't know what goes through people's minds, but if you are willing to make a second call to people, I think you'll find a lot of times you'll get through when you didn't get through the first time.
Or they're just bored.
Yeah, or you catch them. Well, one of the things I'm thinking is some of the people that I contacted a couple weeks ago, they may have been working, and now maybe they're working from home, and so it's a little different dynamic. Now can be a good time to be calling people because more people are home. Even people that told me they're working, a couple of them were like, yeah, but I can take a couple minutes, and I just have very brief phone calls with people typically, and so you can, if you don't give people the idea that you want to chat all day, they're pretty willing to talk for a couple minutes. Has been my experience. So, well, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for all you do for Convention Estates. Anybody else have any final questions, comments they'd like to make before we wrap up?
Yeah, one thing, Larry, when we were talking about sending emails, you and Gary were talking about sending emails to legislators. Anytime I send an email having to do with Convention Estates business, I always put in the subject line, the first thing is I capitalize COS, and then whatever the rest of the subject line is. So they can tell at a glance that it's, most, I don't know if people know what COS stands for, but if they do, it helps identify the email as something friendly.
Okay, yeah, good point.
I've copied, again, I don't know much about this, but I just copied the COS, the big red COS that you see on so many things, and then I erase what's in there and type what I want to put in. So when I send it to myself, I put myself down as an info. It always comes through. So the emails that I'm sending have a great big COS top of them.
Yeah, well, they don't see that until they open it, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, no, yeah, they wouldn't see it until it's open.
Yeah, so I put it in the subject line. Like
okay. Okay, yeah, all right, thank you. Yeah, no, okay, I misunderstood.
Okay, yeah, okay.
But I like your idea, Larry, of copying that letterhead because it gives us a consistent branding, which is important.
Yeah.
And, lets people know right away when they pop it open, they see, oh, they know who it is and what we're about. And regardless of who it comes from, if it's got that COS banner at the top, they know, they know who we are and why we're contacting them.
Yeah.
So, okay. Very good. If there isn't anything else, appreciate you guys tuning in, and feel free again anytime, reach me by Slack or email or whatever, and we will try to answer any questions or calls you may have. I'm going to try to stop the recording of this so I can get that button to show up. Well, maybe we'll
just unplug your computer.
Wait for the battery to die. It'll stop, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You guys have a great evening.
Take care.
You too, Gary. Thank you.
Yeah, bye now.
Thank you.
Bye.